want to welcome everybody to the Paraprofessional In Service 2020-2021 school year. We know that this is going to be an unusual school year, but we are going to definitely approach this with a smile on our face and a can-do attitude. So please take some time to complete this in-service, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. The Paraprofessional Handbook, that was attached to your email that was sent to you, so please make sure that you read through that very carefully. You will need to sign the attached page that's also in your email, and that just acknowledges that you did receive a Paraprofessional Handbook. You will need to send in that signed page to the finance office in order for us to make sure that anyone who completed this workshop is paid for their time. Paraprofessional duties can be found on page 5. There is a list there of duties then and things that you may be required to do, but that is not a limited list. There may be additional things that are not on that list that are going to be expectations for you. Paraprofessionals are responsible for a variety of duties, but you're going to be directly under the supervision of a special ed teacher who will then, based off of the needs in that classroom, give you expectations and duties to do in that classroom. Also understand that paraprofessionals do assist with the educational needs, and that could include academics, the social, emotional, and the behavioral needs of students. Duties that also can include that you may have to assist students in a variety of school settings. That could be in the general education classroom where you go with special ed students, or you might be assisting at lunchtime, or you may be going out to recess, or you might be helping in the special ed classroom with responsibilities. We also have paraprofessionals that assist students with getting off and on the bus daily. You may also be asked to assist with bathrooming and other self-help and the personal needs of students. You might also be expected to reinforce instruction and assist with the implementation of a student's IEP. You might also be asked to maintain records of student progress or do some data collection. That usually might involve something like if a teacher asks you to document how many times a student raises their hand in a 5-minute period, or it might be how many times the student gets out of their seat in a time period. So all of that is data collection, and it will be based off of what the teacher needs for you to collect for them. Paraprofessional qualities can be found on page 6. So again, this is not a limited list, but we expect paraprofessionals to demonstrate professional qualities such as respect for the students, respect for the staff, respect for the parents, consistency, being there on a consistent basis, or being consistent with how you work with children across the board, showing some initiative, doing things without being told, the ability to work independently, showing some creativity, flexibility because you might be asked to do one thing one day and do something different the next day, good sense of humor because we all have to laugh, and accept some suggestions or redirections or corrections. Working well with others is also a big important aspect of being a paraprofessional. Those are just to name a few, but you can find additional ones found on page 6. There are some unacceptable responsibilities. You can find those on page 7. So in your role as a paraprofessional, there are things that you may not do, and those are considered unacceptable. So please refer to page 7. Please note that a paraprofessional cannot substitute for a teacher unless they hold a valid teaching license or a current substitute teaching license. It's important that a paraprofessional does not communicate with parents unless you're directed to do it by the teacher. This includes at drop-off times or pickup times when you are out in the public. Oftentimes parents want to stop you when they're dropping off their child or picking up their child at the end of the day, and they want to have a conversation with you. And you need to understand that you're not there to have that conversation with them. You refer them back to the teacher. Paraprofessionals cannot discuss students in or out of school with anyone other than the teacher. So again, we stress this over and over in this presentation because oftentimes you're kind of cornered and you have to remember that you're not there to discuss students. Public, page 9. Again, professional behavior and attitudes do not end with the close of the school day. You are a representative of your school. The people in the community will form opinions based off of the information that you share. So we definitely want to emphasize the positive aspects. If you say things that are negative or you bring forth negative attitudes, then that is the opinions that are going to be formed by the people around you that are listening to you. So we emphasize that be careful what you say, and try and emphasize the positive aspects. Respect the privacy of the students you serve, remembering that everything is confidential. Be careful what you post on social media such as Facebook or Twitter. Please understand that there is a separation between your professional life and your private life, and we would expect that you do not use social media as a forum to discuss your professional life. Lots of people use social media, Facebook and Twitter, in order to discuss their private lives or post pictures or things like that. But please understand that your professional life is impacted by what you post on those social media sites. So recognizing that that is not a forum to discuss your professional life, but also recognizing that in your private life, if you put things on there, parents will see those things, principals will see those things, superintendents will see those things. So please be careful using that social media platform, and remember to please keep your professional and your private lives separate. Confidentiality, that can be found on page 10. Confidentiality or respect for the rights of others is not limited to your interactions with other staff members. There are going to be times when you're going to meet others in social situations or school settings. Parents, friends of parents, grandparents, for example, they all in good faith, they want to ask you questions, and you have to politely again refer them to the parent. Recognizing that there are going to be times that you're going to be out in public, and oftentimes you're going to be at the grocery store, you're going to be at a restaurant, and the parents recognize you or the students recognize you, and they will come running up to you. And so of course they're always going to want to know, how's Johnny doing? And you have to be very careful that you do not discuss students in public. So being careful with the parents and just saying that this is not the place to talk about them, or referring them back to the teacher, because wherever you're at, people are listening. And so confidentiality demands that you do not speak to parents about students, but also those around you that are listening are not entitled to that confidential information either. So keep everything confidential. Also remember that no records or verbal information about a student can be released by a paraprofessional. So if any person or agency is asking you for a copy of records or a copy of a report card or a copy of something, you need to refer them back to the teacher. School attire, that's page 11. Paraprofessionals are expected to dress appropriately and follow your assigned school's dress code. Please understand that some schools have a more stringent dress code and others do not. So you are expected to follow whatever dress code for that school in which you work. Also be cognizant of the students that you work with. You shouldn't be wearing things that are going to be dangling if the students are going to be grabbing at those things. And so, or shiny things, they like those as well. So understand the students that you work with and dress appropriately for that group of students. We would also advise you not to wear open-toed platform shoes or flip-flops, and so those are taboo as far as we're concerned, because students will accidentally step on your feet, and that hurts, and you've never felt pain like feeling a wheelchair roll over top of your feet. So again, open-toed shoes, platform heels, flip-flops are not to be worn. Please do not wear t-shirts that have unprofessional words or logos on them. Also any t-shirts that are cropped a little too short and have that midriff. So we expect you to dress appropriately and professionally in your job. Also, due to COVID-19, masks must be worn as per your school district's plans. So if your school district says that you are to wear a mask, then the expectation is that you will wear a mask. Workday can be found on page 11. The workday varies dependent upon the school district's hours and the students' needs in your building. So dependent on what your work schedule is, those are your work hours. Each paraprofessional does get a duty-free, non-paid 30-minute lunch, so make sure that you do receive your 30-minute lunch each day. Please understand that you cannot forego your lunch and work through it, because you are required to get 30 minutes of lunch. Paraprofessionals are also to be working in the classroom only on the days that students are present. All work hours need to be documented on your daily timesheets. Make sure that your timesheets are completed correctly and they reflect the accurate time for your work day. Do not count your 30-minute duty-free lunch in your work time. Those will have to be turned into your supervising teacher, who will then sign them in order to review them to make sure that everything is completed on them correctly and they are accurate before they submit them to the finance office. Please make sure you do your timesheets accurately and on time in order for those to get to finance so that you are paid on time. Appraisal, that's on page 13. Paraprofessionals with 0 to 3 years of experience with PCS are evaluated 2 times a year by the teachers they work with daily. So if you have less than 3 years or 3 years of experience, you will be evaluated probably once each semester. Paraprofessionals with 4 or more years of experience with PCS will be evaluated 1 time a year. Please note that any paraprofessional can be evaluated more often if the teacher chooses to do so. Paraprofessional absences can be found on page 14. Paraprofessionals must report their absence to their school using the appropriate procedures as per that school. So each school has a different method of how paraprofessionals are to call off for that day, so you need to follow the expectations of that school. If a paraprofessional is absent for 5 or more days, you may be required to bring a statement from the doctor regarding that absence. And then paraprofessionals are also responsible for filling out their timesheets correctly and verifying and signing them and having them signed by the supervising teacher. So if you are absent, you need to make sure that that's recorded on your timesheet correctly. School closings can be found on page 15. Emergency school closings or late starts are due to inclement weather are announced on the Valparaiso radio stations. Each district website also posts the school closings, and then each school district will determine how and when days will be made up in order to meet the state requirements. Anti-harassment, that is found on Addendum B. Paraprofessionals must report any incidences of harassment for investigation. The complaint coordinator for PCS is the Assistant Director, Sandy Bodner. The next slides have some videos that you are required to watch. The first one is on universal precautions. All staff are required to train on universal precautions, so you must watch this attached video in its entirety. Then you are required to sign the form and also date it of when you completed this training video. And the form was attached to this email, and then it also will be turned into finance. So the link there is where you will just click on the link and it will connect you to the universal precautions video. It is not a very long video, so please take the time to watch it in its entirety, and again sign the form when you have completed it. Seizure training. All staff are required to complete seizure training. Below are the links that are required by the Indiana Department of Education. You must complete all of the links. Please sign the attached form in your email that was also sent to you, and put the date in there when you completed the training. So please make sure you do all of the links and then again sign the form. The links are not very lengthy. They provide training material that is to be read and reviewed. So once you have completed each of the links, again, please sign the attached form in your email with the date that you completed the training. Your final training, I promise this is the last one, is autism training. And again, this is a link. It will connect you to a video, and it's not a very lengthy video, but it does describe children with autism and gives you some ideas of that program. So please connect to this video as well and complete your training in this area as well. Okay, I want to thank everyone, and we wish you all a fabulous year. Please, please do not forget to go back to this email and copy out the 3 forms that you are required to sign. Again, you need to sign the handbook form, the universal precautions form, and the seizure training form. All 3 forms must be signed and turned into the finance office in order for you to be paid for your attendance and for completion of these trainings. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact your teacher that you work with or the supervisor that you work under as well. We wish you a fabulous year again, and good luck, and enjoy your time with PCES.